Hello class, so we are going to be looking at approximating the square roots of numbers that are not perfect. So we have 200 here. 200 is not a perfect square and 136 is also not a perfect square. So you really can't find a square root for this number that is not that is a rational number. So this is going to be an irrational number here. So how do you approximate it? This is something that you have learned in grade 8. So the first thing you want to do is finding the perfect squares that 200 falls in between. And in this case, it would be 196, which is 14 squared. The other perfect square, so 196 is below 200, and the next one over should be the square of 15, because these numbers should be consecutive numbers, which would be 225. Okay, so how is that going to help us approximate? So now, just by looking at this, we know that the square root of 200 is between 14 and 15, so it's 14 point something. So let's be a little bit more accurate. So using a number line, you're going to put the 14 or the 196 on one side. It's going to be on the left side, of course, because it's the smaller number, and 225 is going to go on the right side because it's a larger number. So where would 200 fall? 200 is going to fall closer to the 196 than to the 225 because it's 25 away from 225, and it's only 4 away from 196. So somewhere around here would be the answer. So that is going to be our 200. Okay, so this is our first step. So first, again, you're going to put the perfect squares. You're going to approximate. And then you're going to put, so we're looking for the square roots, right? Not where 200 falls in between 225 and 196. So now you're going to put take the square roots of the numbers on top. The square root of 225 is 15. The square root of 196 is 14. So where would you approximate the 200 to be? So that's going to be, so if you have somewhere in the middle here is 14.5, I always like to use the middle as a point of comparison. So it's much closer to the 14 than the middle, and I would estimate between 14.1 and 14.2 would be acceptable answers. Not 14.4 or 14.5, those are obviously too far off. So this would be our third step, and finally 4 steps and you solve the problem. So let's look at another example. Here, the square root of 136. So again, we're going to ask ourselves between which two perfect squares is 136 is in between. Remember, perfect squares are these numbers here, like the 196 and 225. So for 136, it's going to be between 121, which is the square of 11, and 144, which is the square of 12. Okay, so we're going to put 121 on one side and 144 on the other side. Okay, so where would 136 be? So this here is a little bit trickier because 136 is 8 away from 144 and 15 away from 121. So it's going to be closer to the 144 than the middle. So somewhere around here would be good. Now, so this would be your 136. Okay, so again, this is our first step. This is our second step. Third step is we want to take the square roots. Take the square roots of everything. We know the square root of 121 is 11. So that's our third step. And the square root of 144 is 12. So now approximating, where would 136 be? So it's more than 11 and a half. So anything between 11.6 and 11.7 would be acceptable in this case. Okay.